What is going on, Badger Nation? It is Mike here. It is great to be here. And as you know, every day of the coronavirus pandemic, we are going live, sharing everything as much as we can with you, our customers, our audience, our community of Amazon brand owners, of Amazon marketers, of Amazon solopreneurs. We are here to help. So, with all that said, there is relatively sort of hot off the presses. The article that I'm looking at, it was published yesterday, but it was updated 3 hours ago. We are going to be going over that thing that is scrolling along the bottom there, going live in 1 minute to talk about the news. Let me turn that banner off to essentially talk about the news of what Amazon is changing here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you really quickly. And I wanted to go over these things because they were really important. And if you had not heard, it is definitely good that you that you hear it. So the first thing, I saw this CNBC article first, and essentially we can check this news out. Amazon allows sellers to start shipping non-essential items again. If you didn't know this, it is good that you're here. So basically, the highlights here: Amazon has started to allow third-party sellers, Amazon FBAers, third-party sellers that use Seller Central to ship some non-essential items to its warehouses. That's good. Notice they say the word some. We'll talk about that in a second. An Amazon spokesperson told CNBC that it will allow some shipments later this week. Yes, that's right. The company told sellers in March that it would prioritize shipments of essential goods due to the coronavirus outbreak. And we all know how that went. Some items were labeled as essentials that were essential, which is good. Others were not. And it was sort of jumbled up with how they handled that. It forced a lot of Amazon marketers and company owners to really try to think about what it is that they're doing. So let's just quickly scan through here, because as far as I know, I logged into a Seller Central account earlier today. I didn't see any particular news related to this. However, it looks like they told sort of news outlets first. If you're watching, even if this is the replay that you're watching this on, go ahead and just drop a comment just so I can, hear from you and we can sort of raise up our entire community together. Have you heard anything specifically from Amazon about this yet? If so, drop it in the comment, even if it's the replay. I've been checking into that both on Facebook and on YouTube. So whether you're watching it on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and drop that comment. Would love to hear if you have been told anything by anyone at Amazon, because it looks like they have been sort of just talking to news outlets. So starting this week, the company will begin to accept more products in its warehouses. An Amazon spokesperson said in a statement, Amazon told sellers in March it would temporarily prioritize. Yes, that's right. We already heard that so far in this article. News was first reported in the Wall Street Journal. Yes. So that all sounds good. We appreciate our selling's patience as we prioritize. We'll share more details. It's actually pretty interesting. I was reading a lot of news reports from Amazon factory workers that work in those fulfillment centers, that they were actually pretty frustrated because they had a lot of health and social distancing procedures in place, and they had a huge influx of orders. So it appeared that Amazon was trying to do sort of two things at once, like fulfill all of these orders, and they were getting some backlash from their workers. And probably rightfully so. You hear a lot of stories about fulfillment centers and how Amazon works with those workers, and it appeared to sort of come to a head where a lot of workers were frustrated shipping things, packing things that were non-essential when they themselves wanted to prioritize essential items, things that people could clean with, protective equipment, all of those things. So it all made sense. And, if you really think about the scale at which Amazon operates at, with all of their workers in their fulfillment centers and how many products and orders roll through Amazon every minute, that is a lot to handle. So, what do? They sort of drew the line, essential, non-essential. We need to slow something down so that we can better allocate resources. And it's actually pretty interesting. So not only are they doing this, but they're also making another round of hiring, which we'll look at in a second. So the update should be a welcome change for Amazon's millions of third-party sellers. That's a lot of you guys. After Amazon said it would prioritize essential goods, many sellers told TNBC they were concerned that the decision would exacerbate the pandemic's already harsh impact on their business. I hear that too. From what I've seen, I'll talk about what the numbers were. Stephen and I have a podcast coming out soon, and we'll probably do a bigger Facebook Live where we actually talk about what the data day by day was doing. And it actually looks like a lot of AdBadger customers were up during this time. So e-commerce is definitely up right now. And I think e-commerce on Amazon is up right now. And I think that will probably stick around for a while. So this is actually coming into a really, really exciting time where I think slowly but surely, like, the economy will start to recover. And I mean, that is a certainty. Eventually it will start to recover. And what that means is there's going to be a big period of time where, even though it's generally safe, and I think now the curve is flattening, and it's good to exercise sort of cautious optimism in the sense of, is coronavirus now starting to get under control? The curve is flattening. Again, really need to be sure to maintain all of these careful, safe practices that we've all been practicing to get to this point. Need to continue them to really eradicate the virus. But with all that said, again, not a scientist, just sort of repeating what I've heard scientists say. So with all that said, the economy will start to recover. People will probably still shop on Amazon to a higher degree than going to Target or Walmart. So in terms of selling on Amazon, I think the future is going to continue to be bright. In fact, even more so now, as people view Amazon almost as a, essential part of commerce, as an essential part of culture, as an essential part of life. So it's a really interesting concept to think about how Amazon has been a tool for so many people during this crazy time. So third-party merchants, the update should come. Sellers who offer items outside of the toilet paper, disinfectant wipes, were forced to furlough or lay off employees, while others had to cut back on advertising. So this is actually pretty interesting. A lot of people did cut back on advertising, even though a lot of their sales were still moving, even though a lot of orders were coming in. So we did an analysis with some AdBadger customers. In fact, all of AdBadger customers, and we actually found that sales went up, compared to the first week of March to the last week of March. It was a quite significant gain. So people were using Amazon more than they were previously. And we're still parsing out that data, but so far, that's what it looks like. So again, that's why to pause your advertising, probably too extreme. To cut back on it strategically, probably. I talked about this on one of our first lives, talking about what you should specifically do to your campaigns in those early days of coronavirus, and really taking strong action. We took action inside our tool. We did release a COVID-19 crisis bid algorithm, and that seems, in our testing and sort of when we ran the numbers, it appears like that should be really helpful to people that want to keep their ACoS under control and sort of retain some of their revenue at that target ACoS. Third-party merchants were still able to sell non-essential items on Amazon, but they weren't able to ship it. Of course, we talked about that, talked about FBA and FBM. Third-party merchants could still use FBA for essential items. The service lets sellers ship their products to an Amazon warehouse where the company stores. Okay, yes, it's just explaining what that is. Users in Facebook groups for Amazon sellers noticed that some of their products categorized as non-essentials were being unblocked by Amazon. Terrific. One seller said that their business was told by Amazon that they could restock all of their non-essential items. So that's huge. Again, a lot of people work remotely in greater numbers than ever before. Those people still have jobs. And in fact, there have been even more jobs hired from Amazon, they had that initial round of 100,000. They just are doing another round of 75,000 new jobs. We'll talk about that in a second. Steve Yates, CEO of Prime Guidance, a company that consults third-party sellers on Amazon, said Amazon appears to be slowing shipments on products, but it has opened up availability in the last few days. Yes, this is exactly what we saw, where originally Amazon said your ship date's going to be in a month, and then it actually didn't take that long. So a lot of things that we've already talked about, which is actually kind of cool because we look at this stuff every single day. We're able to sort of be more abreast of what's going on. So that's good. Amazon Seller Consultant, somebody else noticed relaxing restrictions. Yes, that's good. Amazon FBAs in one city can arrive a lot faster in other cities. Yes, we definitely heard that, where different fulfillment centers have different ship dates and different timeframes. Not all sellers said they were able to ship non-essential items to Amazon warehouses yet. Jason Boyce, a former Amazon seller, who is now a consultant, said he's trying daily. Yes, continue to try daily. This may be something that Amazon does not have the bandwidth to notify you on. So this is probably something that we, as Amazon marketers and Amazon company owners, need to continuously contact Amazon, stay on top of it. Almost like I talked about getting your paperwork in for Australia, get it in there. So in the same way, like get it in there and let's actually start contacting Amazon and see if we can get those non-essentials through to their fulfillment center. So this is really crazy news. Since the pandemic erupted, Amazon has faced increased demand from customers on multiple fronts. The company has added 100,000 employees, and it announced on Monday that they will hire another 75,000. So this is straight from Amazon. This is on their blog. And really quick, let me make this a little bit bigger for you. Again, so I love that Amazon's taking care of their employees here, doing their best to, they've made over 150 process updates. That's pretty wild. From enhanced cleaning, social distancing measures, terrific. They filled the 100,000 new jobs. They filled it. And they're adding 75,000 more to meet customer demand to aid and fulfill orders. That's huge. So again, that's going to shrink the ship date. That's going to boost your conversion rate. So that is why the new bid algorithm from AdBadger reacts so quickly. So as soon as your ship dates are going to shrink, your conversion rate is probably going to go up. And if it does, AdBadger will be there to do it. So that's huge. What we're doing for customers, enhanced cleaning, so on and so forth. Yeah, all things that we sort of know. Communities around the globe, some philanthropy there. That's nice. I've heard that local food banks are completely tapped right now with a lot of people out of work. So if you are able to donate to a food bank. So good news for third-party sellers, people that use. Oh, well, they are doing temperature checks. This is very similar to what you would see in China. China does a lot of this. A lot of Eastern Asian countries will sort of standing outside every building, like people are taking scans of people. So that's great. Cool. I think we're good on that. Yes, they're hiring additional 75,000 people. I read a couple of articles. The CNBC one seemed to capture the spirit the most. So basically the big takeaway there is definitely contact Amazon, see if you can get those shipments in, because I don't think that they will be contacting you just because there's so much to handle right now. And with all that said, that's going to be it for me. I'll hang around for another minute or two. Has Amazon started accepting your non-essentials? Let me know in the chat. Hillary mentioned earlier, the answer was no. I think that's probably going to be true. They did say in that article by the end of the week, but I would say let's try to get in early. Let's try to contact. If it's anything like applying for the SBA loans, which we talked about last week, get your paperwork in sooner than later. And that will be sort of a way to get in early there. So sort of get your place in line. With all that said, thank you so much, Badger Nation. It has been an absolute joy getting in here, going live every day, sharing the latest news about Amazon marketing with you, Amazon PPC. Like I mentioned yesterday, we did release that coronavirus bid algorithm update. And so far, so good on that. You can go into Biz by Badger and check that out. We'll have some more information about that on our weekly newsletter, which we send out Wednesday afternoon. With all that said, have a good one, Badger Nation. Feel free to drop a comment. I often check back in the comments the next day just to see if anyone asked anything that I can talk about for tomorrow. So feel free to drop in anything on your mind, any needs that you have. I would love to go in deeper on them. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a good one, everybody.